What up, everyone? It's your boy Red Hawk. It is Saturday, May 16, 2026 at 5:46 p.m. in the late afternoon, and I am going to be talking more about troubles that I encountered with bio dad and stepmom when I was younger. Within a couple of days, something clicked within me. It was one of those supposedly peaceful settings that should have been really peaceful. This was back in 2002. Me, bio dad, and stepmom are watching TV. We had our large silver LG TV. It's not an HD TV, but a regular CRT one. Uh, in our apartment at Canoga Park, and we were watching this funny British Japanese comedy series called Banzai, which is pretty much a mock game show that parodies authentic Japanese game shows. One of the competitions involved three Michael Jackson impersonators named Marvin, uh, a bona fide Michael Jackson impersonator, also called Michael, and Marcy. Respectively, they were Thriller MJ, Bad Skin MJ, and Military MJ. I don't want to spoil the outcome of this competition, but only one MJ impersonator won while moonwalking on an ice rink. Needless to say, this was supposed to be a fun show for me, as a few days back, before I even saw the competition, there was a preview, trailer of the show with Turning Japanese by the Vapors playing in the background. And Turning Japanese by the Vapors being one of my favorite songs, it caught my attention, of course. I don't know about Bio Dad or Stepmom, but it just didn't sit well with them for some odd reason. And when we actually saw the Michael Jackson competition, Bio Dad blurted something really unpleasant. He thought it was the universally loathed R word. And I would like to think to myself, well, look who's talking. He himself thinks that the Ilocano is the best kind of Filipino ethnicity. Because deep down, he really hated my Illongo mom. Can you believe that stuff? Hypocrisy, isn't it? All the more reason for me to actually convert from Filipino to Japanese later on in life when I was 23 years young by way of legal name change. That's why I have a Japanese name now, because I just don't want to relive those painful memories by way of the so-called Filipino pride and whatnot. Not that again, folks, I am not a bigot. I am telling you what was and the pain that it caused me and why I had to basically shed any part of me that was born on the islands and actually take up a samurai name and a Japanese identity here in America. Okay, that out of my system. I just ask all of you to please understand what I have been through and how I really want to shape my life moving forward after so many years of tragedies involving my biological father and stepmother, and how they pretty much trashed me and my biological mother. Alright, that out of the way. I didn't talk much to Bio Dad after we watched a little bit of Banzai. We ended up switching TV channels right around then to something a little bit more in taste with the Twisted 2. Also, as usual, I have here my big dark blue journal with the I voted sticker. I Last week, I actually sent in my ballot for the 2026 California elections. I am not going to say who I voted for because of confidentiality purposes, by the way. So, we are going to get to some more discrepancies really juicy details that ought to get on your nerves. Let's see here. That's okay. Just to add to the little thing about the Mr. Todd Skull's honors English class fiasco, I was daydreaming actually about joining the Marine Corps or the Army, as in my head, with me having a little bit of flip pride around that time, decent flip pride around that time, I was trying to translate the Marine Corps hymn and the Army song in Tagalog. And I started humming what could have been in my head. And little did I know, all those were crushed when Biodad came screaming about me being in danger of failing ninth grade honors English class under Mr. Todd Skull. And just so all of you know, I actually ended up dropping Mr. Skull's honors English class that year, as well as Miss Vicky Arnold's honors biology class. I went to Miss Arnold's regular biology class and Mr. Darren Borg's regular English class the semester after. Alright, from Wednesday, my log from Wednesday, May 13. By junior year, fall 2005 to spring 2006, the future was looking somewhat bleak when I was at Reseda High School. Biodad was essentially forcing me to join the Navy despite my objections. And since going to an American military academy seemed out of the question, I had basically begged him to let me join the United States Army. Back then, I had wanted to do my part to join the paratroops, the 82nd Airborne Division, and fight in the desert wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. Later on, I'm gonna open up to all of you about why this was not meant to be. Me going in as a junior soldier and trying out for airborne school to become a paratrooper and communication specialist. I figured the jet pilot dreams for either the Navy, Air Force, or even the Marine Corps can come later, with me looking to just do my time as a pounding soldier and then transition to either the Air Force, Navy, or Marines through its Air Force ROTC or Navy ROTC programs, or even the Officer Training School or Officer Candidate School, or the Officer Candidate course. Well, guess what? Biodad just scoffed at the thought. I told him that if I were to join the Navy, I would want to become a pilot, eventually flying F-18 Hornets. I guess I was either going to A, join the Navy through his mocking words magnanabika, which means you in patronizing Tagalog, you are joining the Navy, or B, get deported back to the Philippines and join the Philippine Army instead, starting out as quote-unquote Private Miku, or C, drop out of high school, have me join the U.S. Army with a GED, and have me go through summer camp, quote-unquote, go through summer camp as a loser without a diploma, essentially. It didn't help that Biodad was patronizingly singing the Navy's hymn, Anchors Away, in thick Filipino accent. I am going to sample his voice just so all of you know how he sounded like. And believe me, it's gonna sound so devilish. Anchors away, my boys. Anchors away. Farewell to pouring shores. We sail at the break of day. At some point, I really thought that was he was really mocking my intelligence right around that time, and I felt like I wanted to punch him in the face just to give him what for, but I didn't. It it took a great deal of my self-discipline not to ever hit him because he could have called the cops on me in a heartbeat if I ever laid my hands on him. And he was going to manipulate the situation by telling me that I was the perpetrator within the family all along. What with him trying to assert his Padre de Familia status to everyone. Mind you, the Padre de Familia thing, I would hear him say that to Stepmother every time they argued. And basically, it goes like this. He would basically say that he's the Padre de Familia, but he would lose. He would frickin' lose every single time because stepmom asserted more force towards him. And I couldn't, and whenever I saw all of this unfold, I just couldn't help but laugh internally because it just showed that he was a total weakling and a failure. Not me. Okay. Another messed up instance. Freshman year, spring semester 2004. At one point, Biodad and stepmom happened to lock the bathroom in our apartment without consciously knowing it. One night, on a Sunday, they were asleep in their bedroom. It was white wooden walls constructed in a curve right in front of the door to their bedroom to divert occupants to the bathroom, which was on the right next to the mirror. Upon entering, that is, my stomach had been gurgling, crying out for me to blow out my brown waste from my intestines. I was scrambling to the bathroom from my makeshift bedroom. I grabbed the doorknob to try to open it in the dark. I also thought about knocking on doors of certain neighbors, but then again, I decided not to wake any of them up out of concern for their sleep. So I ended up crapping my white briefs and orange beach shorts, then having to change to other pairs. Hours later, upon waking up from the remainder of my sleep, I had to go down to the coin-op laundry room to wash my industrial brown-gray plastic basin because it just reeked of poo-poo and pee-pee. That is, on top of washing and drying my dirty clothes at that time. It was just so sad that they would act like this, on top of all the other infractions they had incurred up to that point. I mean, no child should ever have to experience this kind of stuff, and I cannot emphasize this enough. When I told one of my close lady friends about this, she replied that this kind of situation would have warranted a call to Child Protective Services or CPS. I would have considered that, but then again, like I said in the for the previous situation that I mentioned, Biodad would have manipulated the system for himself out of sheer selfishness, and that wasn't good at all. Moving on to another one. Thanksgiving 2003 or 2004. It must have been either of those years. All we had for our dinner on November 25th of either year in our old apartment was pickled mackerels. We didn't have anything fancy, like turkey, ham, apple, and pumpkin pies. Biodad essentially scoffed at those items and had me learn to appreciate what I had, in his own mentally sadistic, borderline psychotic way. I can understand where he was getting at, looking back at it, but damn. If I could go back in time, I'd grow a bigger pair and tell him and stepmom to live a little. Let's see, other discrepancies as well. Remember that Korean friend that I used to have a crush on? Well, guess what? Stepmom added another insult to Koreans, telling me that there a very special term that she had for them, which is mabenga. This is Tagalog for vengeful. I don't know what it is, but she would She would probably watch uh, Koreans trying to one up against each other in any single event or any single aspect of their lives. That's why she came up with that term. For all I know, it left a bad taste in my mouth. Let me tell you right now, folks, again, it left a bad taste in my mouth. And I never liked that. Okay. There was another naval service argument fiasco. One time in freshman year, I had told Stepmother that I planned to apply for the Naval Academy at Annapolis out of maybe doing something better than what Bio Dad did. I wanted to tell him that I told Stepmother, maybe in words that rubbed her and Bio Dad the wrong way, that hey, maybe I could do better as a midshipman and then later commission as an ensign, pay grade all 1, and then go to pilot school to flight training to become either a pilot or a naval flight officer, NFO, navigator. Little did I know, the night, the late night after I said that, I was asleep after a very tiring day at school. At around 4:30 a.m. that morning, my dad came screaming into my makeshift bedroom, screaming, "Reveille! Reveille! All hands heave out and trise up! Reveille!" Like a Marine Corps drill instructor, if you will. He pretty much took everything that I said about going to the Naval Academy the wrong way and asserted his pride of being an honorably discharged petty officer second class rated gas turbine systems technician second class GSM from the pay grade E5. My case was that he should. I tried to explain to him. I wanted to explain to him and stepmom that my case was that he should have done more, like strive for an officer's commission afterwards. What would him having a bachelor's degree, BS in mechanical engineering from a University of the Philippines UP campus? I mean, he could have gone. If he could have become a fighter pilot in the Philippine Air Force, he could have done better maybe as a surface warfare engineering officer with uh, gold shipboard and waves pin on his khaki uniform with like the cross swords at the bottom of the pin. But that goal didn't materialize on his end. He did his time as a petty officer in the Navy and got out after 6 years of enlisted service, and then went on to various engineering jobs at various places in America. Anyway, he took it the wrong way when I declared that I was looking to apply to the U.S. Naval Academy at the time. He shouldn't have done that. Want to know why, folks? It's because in the fleet, they don't yell out reveille just to wake up people, just to be trolls to wake up people in a very mean way. By that time, right around 4 or 5 a.m., people are already at the galley eating breakfast, and some of them are even going up to their work centers on the ship to start their work days. And right around when 6 a.m. hits, that's when the 1MC announcer would say in a calm manner, "Reveille, reveille, all hands heave out and trice up. Now reveille." There was no screaming, it's just calm, brotherly voice from the speakers. Okay, we're coming up on the 20-minute mark. I am going to give you some previews. I am starting something new. Writing to my old classmates from middle school and high school who I've had bad dealings with and ended our companionships on relatively bad terms. And I want to read those letters out loud to you. I also want to cover some really sensitive topics like issues that I had with native Filipinos in the Navy and back on the islands, especially in my old home back in Laguna. This pretty much pertains to, I would say, natives assuming that I had a Filipino girlfriend when actually, being an Americanized guy, I tend to flock more towards uh, ladies of other nationalities. Like me in particular, I absolutely love the living bejesus out of Japanese women. And for me to get disrespected by people assuming that I have a Filipino girlfriend, again, I am not a bigot, as I have to warn you time and time again. That just irritates me and breaks my heart, really. And also, I am going to cite some more toxic events pertaining to Biodad and Stepmom from my school days, as well as some uh, lists of positive memories that I've had throughout the years. We're over the 20-minute mark, people. We are now 21 minutes. I'm going to end it here. So for now, until the next time, Red Hawk out. Peace.